Welcome to La Copa Race 3. We're in France. Well, you're probably in your own home, in whichever country you live in, but as the screen tells you, La Course, Brest. Actually, it's just outside Brest, but we'll get onto the course in a minute. Welcome along. You're with ZMS ESTV. I'm Dave Morrison, and this is La Copa, which is a team racing event, as you probably know, as you're tuned in to watch. And today it's 27.85 kilometers, elevation 458 meters, and it has a huge climb at the end. Now let's have a look at this course here. It is the course that they used for La Course, the women's, well, it's not quite the Tour de France, but the women's race before the Tour de France. And you see it goes through Ladeno there. Now, the big climb, as you can see at the end, the elevation just at the top there, the profile's disappeared. That climb at the end, they had to go up that several times as a loop in La Course. It was also the finishing climb for stage one of the 2021 Tour de France, Julian Alaphilippe winning on that occasion. And the women's race, of course, won by Demi Vollering from the Netherlands. They were classic races, both of those, and that really is a steep climb. And I think that's going to influence the result today. We're doing 2 laps of this, so they've got to go up that thing twice, and I think that's where we're going to see the decisive splits. Now, so far in this series, you have to say that no pins have been dominant, and you can see from the scores there. Now, you get 1 point for finishing as a team in first, and we'll explain how a team wins it in a moment. But the lower the points, the better. You can see that under S1 and S2, stage 1, stage 2 there, no pins getting 1 point on both occasions, with Copa Hopers getting 2 points. So the dominant 2 teams are no pins, sponsored obviously by the clothing manufacturer, and Copa Hopers. Now, Copa Hopers is a great little story because it is actually all the people who didn't have a team were just put together, and they turned out to be one of the strongest. And that is going to be very, very interesting. Ratio Racing, Pokemotion, Cycling Club Denmark, Moon Riders, Pedalers, all familiar names from the RGT circuit, taking us down to 7th. Dirty Dan's race team, which have got a great name, and I love it. OTR, another famous name from the RGT circuit. And we love Southborough District Wheelers. That's their Wasps team. Unfortunately at the end, but we love them. And in fact, as far as I can tell, and this Cycling Club Denmark are similar, they are the only local club. All the other teams there are amalgamations of riders from different areas, so they're obviously confined in who they can recruit. And I think it's extra special that Southborough are in this. They're competing, and they are a lovely club. But anyway, it's no pins dominating. Now, as you can see, they get 1 point for finishing first. Now, the way you finish first is the reverse. You get higher points. Each rider will score points for where they finish in this race individually, and the winner, for example, will get 100 points. Second is 90, third 80, fourth 75, fifth 70, and it goes down, and the gaps disappear. They narrow a little bit, so there's only 3-point gaps between places. And your 3 highest riders in your team are amalgamated, and the team with the highest score wins. And then they're given the low score of 1 point, as no pins have got there. So the lower your points, the better in this. And as I say, but the higher the score in the race, and it's the top 3 riders that count. So all to play for. We have some extra special top riders in this. I'm just looking down at the start line there. We've started, so off we go. And as they whiz by, the lovely camera angles. Oh, somebody's got dropped off the back there early on. So we can see Timo Ackenbach appears to be in the lead. Oh no, he's in 3rd place. I think he's just dropped back to 4th. It's Jan Decker off the front, Ratio Racing. In fact, the 2 Ratio riders on the front there in those orange helmets and that black strip. It's Ben Phillips from Wales, the man who gave Ratio Racing its name, as we all discovered last week. Okay, so John Beam's coming through now into 2nd place. I think this will be a fluctuating 1st place. People running off the front for this early sort of downhill stage. We're hitting 49 kph. You can see with John Beam's there. 150 heart rate on the right, and power of 400 watts. It's So they're still pushing it, even though it's a downhill section. And there is a little kick up actually. So we go downhill, then there's a kick up, and then it's largely downhill again. And then towards the end of each lap, we finish on that big climb. As I say, that climb, you will remember it if you watch anything from the Tour de France or stage 1 of the Tour de France and La Course, the women's. It's not quite a tour, is it? So Jim Ogilvy here, OTR, pushing out 400 watts. The same. You see in the OTR kit there, the black, green, and white. Some of these teams have kits. I'm not sure if all of them do, but you can see Ratio there, for example. And for first 4 riders, we can see 3 Ratios up there. The green band, the green and yellow band, that's Moon Riders. I think the orange is Pedalers. Oh, there's a Southborough rider up there. Excellent. Southborough in the yellow, black, and red. Kirsten Edge on the front. Oh, we have. Oh, that looks. I'm not sure if that's an attack or not. If you've ridden on RGT, you'll know that you can fly off the front as you come through. Greg Barnett pushing through now. So this is fluctuating, as you can see. People taking little short turns on the front as they surge through. As I say, you do quite often get this situation where you're coming through with momentum and you go shooting off the front, but you quickly slow down as you lose the draft effect as you come through. So you can see the bunch there on your right hand screen as we go around this tight bend. Remember that RGT will brake on a bend, and so you'll see some sort of wasted effort on there. Some people, if you look on the left hand side on the chart, people with red on their watts per kilogram, that's indicating that they're overriding. Said Carradine, who was quite emphatic in the last race and broke a lot of times, putting out nearly 400 watts still on this section of the course. Okay, so we've got somebody pulling out on the front here, and it looks. Oh, just trying to see who that is. Gavash? Gavash, yes. Now he is actually pulling away quite clearly. Now I wouldn't have expected this. We are on a positive gradient. This is a kick up, so yeah, maybe this is a good place to attack. Now he's pulling out quite a distance here. He's got 40 metres on the pack, so this is already beginning to look like it might be a break that works. And we saw this very much with No Pins last week. They got away quite clearly and stayed out for the race. One emphatically. Look at the gradient up there in the top right hand corner of your screen, 5.7%. This is Gavash is making this count. He's up to 45 metres gap ahead of the pack. Can he make it stick? 6.3 now, the gradient. I don't think the gap's getting that much bigger, but I'm looking at it visually rather than any data to confirm that. A couple of Ratio riders leading the chase back down to 4.8 gradient. I'd say we're still on that little kick, and then it'll be downhill to the big climb. The pack reasonably together. It hasn't split that much apart from this one breakaway. So maybe not as telling as we might have thought. So yeah, John Beams now off the front as well in second place, and just having a look, he's got a gap of 35 metres, 38 metres, 40 metres. And John, but he's got across, so he's got across to Gavash. So we may have a little group that can work together, and that gap is still around 40 metres. Remember, there's a big downhill though, and I'm wondering if the downhill and the effect of the peloton is not going to enable them to hold that all the way to the bottom of the next climb, but we shall see. You probably need 2 or 3, maybe 4 riders to really make this work. I don't know. I say that, and it's now gone up to nearly 60 metres. Although, of course, they've gone over the crest before everybody else. They get that slight advantage, early doors, just getting up there. Gavash, of course, from Dirty Dan's racing team. And John Beams from, just trying to think which team he's in. I'll have to come back to you on that one. So, where's that gap? Paul Emfert pushing out 229 kilos there, relatively easy, and that's towards the front of the peloton. We see a couple of the Southborough riders pushing through, but we've still got these guys up the front, and they've got a healthy gap, 47-48 meters. I think the thing is, if they can get to the bottom of this and have a gap like that and work together on that climb. Now, it's always difficult to work on a climb together because we all know that we've all got slightly different abilities and means and methods of getting up a climb. But I think if they hold this to the bottom of the descent, Kirsten Edge is now pushing over to see if he can get over to that gap. Somebody else seems to be chasing him. Maybe not. Maybe Kirsten's on his own. Let's have a look. He's probably about 2/5 of the way across that gap. Julian Fussell now for the Southborough, pushing up, one of the Ratio riders now. I think they're going to chase Kirsten, and I think that's going to cause them to get back together with the front two there, John Beams and Gav Ash. Can Kirsten make it across? I think the thing is, you've got to look that Kirsten's not got a big gap, and he hasn't made it. I think he hasn't got a big gap to the peloton in front of him. Well, this is all hotting up just before the climb, and that gap now is down to 22-23 meters. And I think the effect of Kirsten chasing them has made a difference here. You can see John Ogilvie now. Oh, they're going to get caught. So I think we're going to finish all together, or start all together at the finish at the bottom of the climb and start the big climb all together. So the breakaway hasn't worked. We're all back together. It's as you were. Let's see if anybody else gives it a go. And Southborough making themselves very present on the front today, which is nice to see. Be lovely to see them move up the team rankings. As we go around another little bend here, working our way towards that climb. So Julian Fussell on the front there, one of the Southborough guys, momentarily of course. Nick Greenhouse chipping in. Hiya Nick, good to hear from you. Look forward to seeing you a little bit later in the West London race, which we'll be covering straight after this. I'll be commentating again. Looking forward to that. Should be packed tonight. We've got a high entry for that one, so if everybody turns up, it will be a big race, and I think it'll be a bunch sprint finish in that one. So will we get a bunch sprint finish here? I don't think so. I think the big climb is going to make a big difference, but we're still on that huge descent as we go down. Remember, this is the course that Stage 1 of the Tour de France 2021 used, and was also used for several laps. I think they did 4 laps in La Course, the ladies' race just before the start of the Tour de France, won by Demi Vollering, Julian Alaphilippe with a memorable win in the men's race. Now this is in Landau, which is just outside Brest. The race, both races, the Tour de France and La Course, both started in Brest and finished in Landau. Landau is just along the river from Brest. I have to say, for once, I've actually ridden through this place. I've ridden through Landau, but I didn't do the climb because I rode along the river bank. This was because Landau also features in a very, very famous race, or say race, it's certainly an event, Paris-Brest-Paris, the 1200 kilometre, once every 4 years. So it's randonnée, although they do give prizes to the winners, so I suppose at the front it is a race. And it is in fact the oldest bike race in the world, current one anyway, I think. So yeah, as I say, Landau features every 4 years in Paris-Brest-Paris. And I certainly rode along the riverbank, but I didn't do the right turn up the steep hill that they're going to do. So there is a right turn just before they go up the steep hill. And remember that RGT causes you to brake when you go around tight bends. So I don't know what effect that will have on this particular race, but they have to turn a tight corner and then straight into that steep climb, which was memorably featured in La Course and the Tour de France this year. So the bunch is still together. As I say, people alternating on the front, largely due to the serve. You can see John will be there. Have a look at the Moonriders lineup here. We've got Henry Farrell, John Stevens, Timo Akenbach, and Wouter Claes. Hi Wouter, thanks for the email today. Ben Phillips, the Welshman, is pushing off the front for Rasio. Please, Nick Greenhalgh, who's certainly watching. So we're hitting that's the right turn I was telling you about, and we're on the hill now. Here's the Rasio team. Nick Greenhalgh clearly watching and not racing today. Jorgen van Berg, Joris Scheppers, Alex Plaisir and Alex Rockwell. Alex Plaisir, organiser, of course, of this. Ben Phillips not making that stick as the gradient not too steep. In fact, sorry, I was wrong. That's not the top of the hill. That's just a little kick up. We've still got a little way to go to the bottom of the hill, but there is a right turn before we go up the hill, and this isn't it. You can see in the top right-hand corner, you can see the profile just under the sort of green half circle there. So we've got a little way along the river, effectively the river valley, before we go up there. So here's the Southborough team: Dave Bagg, Julian Fussell, Warren Gardner, Primoz Greg Barnett, and Keith Brown. And they're all from Kent in Tunbridge, Tunbridge Wells, just south of Tunbridge Wells, I believe. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I got that wrong. Ben Phillips still pushing up the front. Gavash still showing his face into the wind there. Pedlars, Daniel Nurgebauer, someone else I know. He won prizes in the West London races for. Jez Reed, John Beams, and of course Kenneth Mancina. All names you'll see regularly on RGT races, and top guys too. That's the Pedlars team, or at least the ones we have photos of. Remember, they cannot enter up to 12 riders, so you're not going to see every rider here, and they can alternate in the races. Cyril Rowe and James Ogilvie. Ogilvie is the ONOTR, of course. Keith Etchinson, Peter Brookwavel, Mike Gibert, and Patrick Olivo for OTR e-racing. James Ogilvie's team. Again, another fixture on RGT and part of the community. Daniel Nurgebauer on the front now, and as we have a look at the no-pins team. Now, these are the dominant team at the moment. Chris Smart, Eric Hogan, Klaus van den Erp, Liam Bard, Matt Looker, and Stephen Brearley, the riders on the front. Ben Phillips giving it another poke on the front, and we are that's the right hand, I think, just before we go up the hill. And here we go. We're going up the hill. Now you can see that we're already into 6.2%, and I think this is why Ben. Now, if you look at the bottom, you've got the profile there. Now, a red strip is the steepest part. You can see this is steepest at the bottom. It goes up to, depending on where you read this, it's between 11 and 14%. Ben's been caught, I'm afraid. So it's Gujon who's going off the front at the moment, and Gavash is giving another poke in there, and at Matthew Gujon. Gavash is trying it at the moment, not really pulling out any gap, and they're closing him down again. John Beams again, just followed by Steve Brierley. But look how strung out it is. Now this is what we'd expect. Now look at the aerial shot. You can see there are people now dropping off the back. So this is a selection process. And although there's a fairly healthy bunch at the front, there are gaps appearing. So if this continues, remember this is quite a long hill, certainly by these sort of races standards. We are on the steepest bit. You can see there 13.3% is showing up there. As I say, I read different things about this climb, ranging from sort of 11 to 14% at its steepest moments. It's showing up just under 14% up there. Still a little bit of a bunch at the front, so that is probably, I don't know, I think if we get over the worst stage in a bunch, then I think we still might have a bunch for the second half. As you can see, we're not even halfway up the red section of that. There's a clear gap there between what we've got there, Benoit to Schrager there. That's a clear gap emerging, and then it's very strung out. So I think it really is. I think if you are actually on, even that's beginning to string a little bit. That isn't as bunched as it was. We're still on the red bit, and of course you know from going up hills yourself as a cyclist, there's a little bit where you just can't keep up with the guy on the front anymore, and John Beams is pulling away. He is pulling away, and he's got Steve Brierley on his wheel. John Beams from Pedlars, Steve Brierley from No Pins, and there's another No Pins rider coming up in the blue kit there, and I see there's 4 No Pins riders in this group. Now remember, they were dominant last time. Steve Brierley putting out 373 watts. We're still going up the hill, and we're going to be going up for quite a while, so this is going to continue. There is a split of 4 here. Say Carradine, 2 No Pins riders, 1 Steve Brierley, and I'm not sure who the other one is. Said Carradine. I'm not sure who the rider in the yellow is. Oh, it's Jujon, Mathieu Jujon, the Frenchman, on home soil. I'm not sure if he's from Brittany, where this race is. 451 watts just to stay up with these guys. But we're looking at another potential. That gap has got wide. We're looking at another potential No Pins Grand Slam here, although maybe we're losing one. Maybe not. Let's see how this group holds together. John Beams is putting in an exceptional ride on the front, and he's certainly dropped one of the No Pins riders. So we're left with Steve Brierley, who's been dropped. So Mathieu Jujon, the Frenchman, Carradine from the Isle of Man, I think that is, or maybe I can't. I'll have to check. I'm not recognising the flag. And John Beams. Now look at the gaps that we're starting to see now. Back to Steve Brierley, it's 34. André Jeski from Ratio Racing, Cyril Berton, another Frenchman. Quite a good French presence in that top 10. Guillaume Tafili down there at number 9. Obviously putting in a good show on home soil. John Beams is going for it. He's just got off the top of the red strip. If you look in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, they've just got off the red section, so they've got a little bit of respite. They can open up this gap again a little bit more on the green section. Then they hit some sort of reddy orange, so that will be slightly undulating as it drifts from gradient to gradient. Said Carradine has caught up with John Beams. Now can Mathieu Jujon do the same? It'd be lovely to have a trio. I think Mathieu is being distanced here. Having said that, if he's a good climber, he may be able to close that once they get back onto the red and orange sections, which they are just hitting now. We're up to 4.5, 4.1% now. John Beams is, for Pedlars, is, I think Matthew's the elastic stats for Matthew there. So it's Said Carradine. Now, if John Beams can carry this one off, this has broken the No Pins monopoly, which will be absolutely fantastic for the series, not for No Pins. I'm sure they won't agree with me saying that, but poor old Matthew is now a little bit adrift in no man's land. Remember, there's a lot of descending to come, and it's not impossible that he might make that up. But this is a decisive point in the race, I would wager, as we come towards the end of lap 1 on this climb. Second steep section, not as steep as the first, has been decisive. John Beams and Said Carradine of No Pins pulling away. So it's Pedlars and No Pins at the front. Mathieu Jujon in third place for Copa Hopers. Remember, they're the team of people who weren't. They were solo entrants who were put together in a team, and they are the second best team. So if Mathieu comes in third, that's still a good point score for the team. Nice the way the names on the road there. I see John Samut's name on the ground there. That's Pokemotion. Andrew Krajewski, I'll get it right one day, Andre. Sorry. Is pushing hard on the front. Whether or not they reel in Mathieu Jujon. We've still got about 50 metres on Guillaume Tafili before Andre and Cyril Berton. So Cyril Berton, Tafili, the the Copa Hopers, I should say. That was really bad, wasn't it? The Copa Hopers actually doing quite well. If you look on the left-hand side, you can see the top 11 there. And you can see 4 yellow jerseys from Copa Hopers, 4 from No Pins, and we've got 2 Ratios, 1 Peddlers, and that's it. Yeah, so 2 Ratios. So, well, there's basically 3 teams dominating this, plus Peddlers, with Ratio with 2, No Pins with 4, and Copa Hopers with 4. So Matteo now down to about 30 metres ahead. He's going to get caught. I think Steve Briley from No Pins and Gavash pushing there to catch him up. Gavash from Dirty. Sorry, I missed them out, didn't I? In fact, that's not 2 Ratio riders, is it? It's 1 Ratio rider and 1 Dirty Dens. I correct myself. So anyway, Matteo. So there's in fact 2 teams dominating this, and they are the 2 at the top of the table. So I think we're going to see. Here we are, Cycling Club Denmark. They've got a big race on Friday evening, if you're interested, which will be covered on ZMS. The Cycling Union of Denmark are promoting that heavily, and I think it's full of top Danish riders. Look out for that. I'm sure all these guys are signed up for it. Fleming Bach, Jakob Skosgaard, Kurt Pedersen, and Rasmus Feldvall from Cycling Club Denmark. The E in front just standing for electric or whatever you decide E stands for, but Electronic Cycling Club Denmark. As I say, that's been heavily promoted. I believe there's a festival going with it and everything else. So look out for that one. It's around UK time 7 p.m. On Friday, so that's probably 1800 hours in European countries that aren't Britain or Portugal. John Beam's now having another little dig here in first place, and of course we are now on the descent. As you can see in the top right hand corner, well, this is where it gets a bit confusing. So the top right hand corner is the rider that we're following at the moment, which is John Beams, and you'll see that the green, the half sort of circle green disc there shows it's a minus 9%, so this will be going quite fast. And you'll see on the left hand bottom corner the light bulb shaped white thing going down the blue section. Now, as red is the hardest going up, blue is the steepest going down. So John and Saeed have just gone down the steepest section on the descent there, and they're going into light blue section, shortly into green, as they head towards the next kick up. Now they've got a 600-metre gap in William to Philippe now, and John Polak's now in second place, and Mathieu Jujon, the guys leading the peloton there. Now that is quite a big gap, and I think if they get over this kit with anything like that gap, we're looking at the 2 winners here. As we do a right-hand turn, remember there's braking in RGT. That'll slow them down a little bit, but it slows everybody down. They're now in the bottom of the valley. Now that gap should close because they're going to slow down, and the other guys are going to be on the steep bit. So don't expect it to be 600. If they get 400 going into the next kick, and if you look at the profile along the bottom of your screen again, the green is the easy bit. You're looking at. I'm just trying to see what the gap is. I can't quite tell. But the light bulb at the moment is on John Beams, so I don't think it is actually. It won't be. It'll be on the group we're in now, which is Group 2. So you can see on the bottom on that profile the little white dot ahead of them. Okay, 305. So it's narrowed more than I would have thought. I would have thought they might have been able to hold that at 400. They haven't. It's now under 300. Now, does this mean the peloton are catching them, or is it just the effect of them being on a slightly more? Well, they've just gone over a little orange streak, so they might have lost a few meters there. It's going to be telling on the next route. So, on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen now, you can see the teams. OTR, James Oakley with his teams. SDW, that's Southborough District Wheelers. Moon Riders, Peddlers, Ratio Racing, No Pins, Pokemotion, Copa Hopers, the team made up of everybody else who didn't have a team, CKD, which is Cycling Club Denmark, and Dirty Dan's race team, the team with the best name. Sorry if that sounds biased, but Dirty Dan, chapeau, mate. John Beams and Saeed Karadine then still dominating. This will be interesting. I mean, if this is a cat and mouse game, John Beams has been pushing quite a lot. I think Saeed's quite happy to sit on his wheel, from my observation, and we shall have to see if that happens. But again, it will be decided, I think, on the second time up the big climb. In fact, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see there's some little white dots on the big red blob on the profile. They, of course, are back markers who are still on lap 1 going up that hill, whereas you can see that everybody else to the left of your screen appears to be behind them on the profile, but of course they're on lap 2, and that's what. So Cyril Berton, Mathieu Jujon in the lead for France and the Copa Hopers. I don't wonder if Copa Hopers should be nominated a French team. It would certainly be great to see some French success here in Brittany. Let's say Ladernau is in northwest France. It's in the Finistère region, just along the river from Brest. So if you cycle eastwards out of Brest, you will hit it, and it is very pretty. As I said earlier, I've cycled through it twice myself, having done Paris-Brest-Paris on 2 occasions, and I think on both occasions I did actually manage to hit that town in daylight. If you've ever done Paris-Brest-Paris, you'll know that you ride through the nights. It takes about 3 or 4 days, but I did manage to see it in daylight, and it really is nice as the river comes in, what I'd call a fishing village. So Mathieu Jujon still pushing ahead in 4th place at the moment, up to 3rd. So these yellow jerseys, the Copa Hopers, a couple of no pins jerseys in there, and surprise, surprise, we see Ratio again. So you can see the main 3 teams. If we go back to the position in the league here in La Copa, we're 3. This is the 3rd race of 6. No pin's been dominant to date. It's in the balance whether they'll get a win today, but they're probably going to get a 2nd place if this gap's maintained. And it's gone out to 440 meters again. So I think we're looking at the first 2 places here. But we've seen some fantastic racing in this series so far. Don't discount anything happening. Stay glued to your screen. This is a fantastic course. Saeed Kerra down there, 331 watts. Now he's obviously getting some draft benefits sitting on John's wheels there. Heart rate of 164. Yeah, so it's. I think he's quite happy to sit on John's wheel. And oh no, I say that, and he goes forwards, but not for long. And I think again that's one of those little surges. If you've ridden on RGT, you'll know that you put a bit of pressure on to catch up, and you might well go past the rider in front, but. As soon as you lose that draft effect, you kind of reel back a little bit, and sometimes don't go right way past. Now, as soon as I said that he wants to sit on the wheel, he keeps nudging forward. So, if somebody's listening to him and telling him to prove me wrong, you're certainly making it more entertaining for us all, aren't you? Everybody loves the commentator getting it wrong. Now, here's a look at the course again. As you can see, it's this loop. The profile. This is the screen in the top right. You can see as we're going along, down. We get to Ladernau, we go along this river valley, you can see the river, and do that right turn up that hill to the finishing line. As I say, if you look down, you can see the bottom of the course just before that turn goes along the river valley. That's the only bit of this course I have ridden, of course, because I was coming out of Brest. But Paris-Brest-Paris actually goes into Brest a different way. And I don't know if some of the roads that they were coming out on were roads that we went into Brest on, but I think they probably were. Certainly in the Tour de France and La Course, the race came out of Brest over the big bridge there. If you've ever been to Brest, it has a spectacular bridge. And on Paris-Brest-Paris, you come in the other way. So here we are. You can say you've ridden the Tour de France stage here. I think you should all get an Etape du Tour medal for competing in this one. So we've got 7 kilometres to go to the finish, and you can see from the profile at the bottom of the larger screen of the 2 that they're still on downhill sections, alternating between green and blue. Green not very steep, and light blue's a bit steeper, and the darker the blue gets, the steeper it gets. Similarly with the oranges and reds, the darker the red, the steeper it gets. So it's all going to be decided on this hill, I suspect, and you can see how strung out it is on the profile as well. There's still some riders on the very dark red bit on lap 1, slowly going up there, and at the back of the people on lap 2 is still people just hitting that first kick after a few kilometres. I think it's about 3 or 4 kilometres in, maybe. Still people hitting that, so it's very, very strung out. Remember the scoring here, though. Gaps don't. It's not like the Tour de France where a huge time gap's going to benefit you that much. You score points on your actual position. So if you're first, you get 100. But if you're a kilometre before in front of the guy behind's still going to get the same points as he would have got if he was 1 metre behind. So it's 100 for first, 90 for second. It goes down to 80 for third, 75 for fourth, 70 for fifth. It goes down 67 for sixth, 64 for seventh, and various things. Right down to 30 points if you write down the end. But as I say, that converts into individual points. They are added together. The team with the most individual points then gets the lowest score for the team selection. So you want a high score in the race and a low score in the team league. Let's say it's been a bit of a, say Carradine of No Pins goes forward again. As I say, they have been dominant. They've only got 2 points, which means first place, and first place means that they get first place as a team, not first place in the races, although they did get first places in both races. Okay, so I think we're going to have to sort of sit and wait to see what happens on the hill. I think there will be 2 races going on effectively. We'll have these 2. Now, one might break the other, or we might end up with the cat and mouse finish on that last screen bit. If you look in the very bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see that after that steep climb, there's a very small green bit. Whether they're cat and mouse there or not, I don't know. Oh, Carradine's gone. This is interesting. Ah, no. John's not having any of that. Oh no, and Carradine puts in another little dig. I think we talk about cat and mouse, it might just be happening there. That was a little kick up, as you can see. It's only a small kick up. It suggests there, and we never know till we see the actual finale. Carradine wanted to attack up that little kick, and you wonder if, with John being on the front so long, you wonder if Carradine's got the better legs for the gradients when they come. That will be interesting. You can see the people behind them are just hitting that little ramp. The gap down to 300 metres, so it's not as big as it has been. And that same little group sitting there, very populated with riders from Copa Hopas and No Pins. And I think we had one Ratio rider, didn't we? And one Dirty Dans. We are Gavache in there, Cyril Berton, Andrei Krajewski, Steve Briley. Let's say the same little pack. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's a clutch of 9. So first 11 places are there. 136 metres from 11th to 12th, where we see Jan Scheppers, Cyril Wayod, Keith. I'm not sure who Keith is actually. Keith Aitchison, I think. Guillaume Toffoli, and putting out 192, neatly sitting on the back, conserving his energy behind the guys in front. And once again, I say that, and he moves forward. You see 4 jerseys from the Copa Hopas currently in second place, 3 from No Pins, and there's a 4th No Pins rider up the road in the shape of Said Carradine. So this battle here is also going to be thrilling. So we're going to get 2, I think, battles on this hill, well worth watching. The first 2, if they stick together, we're going to have a very interesting finish. And they did go up first time together, but I just wonder if John Beams has done a lot on the front and this is going to burn him out. We shall find out later. Now the second group may or may not fragment. Now that we're going along the river bend, Oh, the riverbed. We're going along the river valley, I should say, and we're about to hit the steep hill. So this is where it gets going, and 6.6. Keradine takes the front, and this is interesting. Will John just sit on his wheel now? No, he's edging forward a little bit. And the gap, 324 metres back to the others. They should be able to hold this, so I think this is going to be the top two again. Up to 8-9% now, and John's pushing forward. That surprised me on the basis of that little kick, although I think, if I remember the first time round, John was stronger on this climb, and Keradine did actually have to catch up a little bit. Keradine out of the saddle, they're both out of the saddle here, giving it a big push. Now the gap is under 300 metres, but remember the chasing pack, the next 9 riders, are only just hitting the bottom of the slope, so they will slow down. And you can see the gaps, as I say, not massive now. It's 200 metres. So, in fact, if either of these two snaps, or there's a strong push from this group, we could even see it coming together. It's quite a long climb, and I wouldn't discount that idea. 172 metres between Steve Brierley, 167 from Brierley to Keradine. So just maybe this group, because it's got, if it can stick together and use the draft cleverly, take turns on the front, may just, oh, they're going past a back marker there. It may be a drone, actually, not a drone, but a camera. Now this is fragmenting a little bit. It needs to stay together, I think, if they're going to catch the front two. But then again, the riders might not be that worried about catching the front two so much as just, so it might not be a good idea to finish in a bunch of 11th, but if you can break away and finish 5th in a bunch of 5, you're better off. It is fragmenting a little bit. Keradine's, there's a slight gap, there's 5-6 metres. No, he's pulling it back though, he's not letting it go. They're about halfway up, front two about halfway up this climb now. So it's Keradine putting a bit of effort in, he's closing it down. Best to get close if you can, because you get the benefit of this draft. Remember, this hill is the one used in the Tour de France in stage 1 of 2021, and this climb is in fact called the Côte de la Fosse au Loup, which roughly translated, Côte is telling you that it's a hill climb. Fosse au Loup is Fosse au Loup. Fosse is a sort of ditch or a trench, and loup is the French word for wolf. I think, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I've got this slightly wrong, I think there is some old tradition as Keradine starts pulling away from John Beams. I think it was some old traditional folklore that there was some sort of trench there to stop the wolves getting in the village or something like that, which is probably vaguely accurate, or not quite accurate, but I think that's where it gets its name. So it's basically the ditch of the wolves in English, I say fosse au loup in French. So John Beam's just hanging on there. They're getting to the top of the really hard section, the big deep red section. The gap back to the others is, well, it's slimmed quite, it's 170 metres. But again, this is attritional, and it depends how much benefit the second group are getting from the draft. Keradine is definitely trying to put in a bit of an effort. So in third, Guillaume Toffoli, this has snapped a little bit. Guillaume Toffoli and Andrei Krajewski. Andrei, a Pole living in Manchester, and Guillaume Toffoli, who I assume lives in France, but I could be wrong. They are pulling away, and great to see that. I've known Andrei for a long time. Never actually met, but I've known him through RGT for a long time. He's one of the longest riding riders in our West London VR races. And remember, West London VR race starting in 20 minutes straight after this. So stay tuned. That's going to be absolutely pulsating. We've got a very flat course with a high entry level. This is going to be a bunch sprint like no other. We have used the course before, and in fact, I think I got my fastest ever time on RGT on it. It was phenomenally fast, and it won't break up like this, I can assure you. So John now, Andre's now sort of 280 metres behind. That gap is not going to be closed as the front two riders hit the last little bit of climbing, and they're going to have to duke it out. Mathieu Dujon now pulling away from Steve Braley and Sylvain Berton. William just ahead of Andre. Can Andre pull that back? The gap's not widening, so I think Ratio could find themselves with competing for a podium place here. It'd be lovely to see Andre get that. I mean, as I know him personally. Of course, I am totally neutral in my commentary, and I would, if you're rooting for Guillaume because you're French, I will have to say I'm a bit of a Francophile, so I've got a bit of a love of France, which is why I've ridden around places like this, I think. So completely neutral, but I would feel for Andre knowing him. So Mathieu Dujon is now 42 metres behind those two. Everybody's competing for the top places. Is now on the second kit, and there's nothing to separate. I say there's nothing to separate. Cyril Carradine's put in a dig. John Beam's slowly clawing it back. I don't know. The trouble is, if you put it on Spurtrand, I think Said's gone. I think he's gone. He's shown dominant riding in the past. I think this might just be a decisive moment, and No Pins take their third win of the series. It's definitely widening the gap, and when we're on the flat bit, although that said, I think John Beams has been quite strong. That gap is opening up now. 15 metres, sorry. I think John's not going to make that one up, which is a shame. Chris Smart there, cheering on his teammates. Thanks for contributing, Chris. Lovely to hear from you. Look forward to seeing you in the next race, or one soon anyway. Good stuff. So I think Said's going to wrap this one up. He's now got 37 metres on John Beams, and as I kind of felt, I think John spent far too much time on the front this race. But you can't take anything away from Said, can you? He has been absolutely explosive in this series, and another well-won victory. He's been very canny. He sat on John's wheel for most of the race, and you can see the finishing line. Another glorious win, and congratulations to No Pins. And I think they're probably almost certainly going to stay on top of, well, they will stay on top of the rankings, I think. John Beams coming in for a well-earned second. Absolutely phenomenal ride there, John. Well done. Yeah, Pedlars. Nice to see Pedlars getting a second place, actually. That will boost their chances. So it is hopefully the Frenchman getting a French place on the podium, which is great for France and fantastic when you're on home soil. Well done, Guillaume. And Andre, mate, fantastic result. Pleased for you and the Ratio guys. And we've got Gavache looking at 5th place, I think, at the moment. Well done, Guillaume. Congratulations, Chapeau. And well done, Andre. Fantastic result. So, Dirty Dens Racing going to get the next one. Gav's quite clear, isn't he? So, Gavache, Cyril Berton, and No Hopers. Mathieu Dujon just pulling one ahead of Steve Brearley, nicking a place from No Pins for the for the Copa Hopers. I've got to stop doing that. Okay, Keith Aitchison, and who we've got coming in? We've got John Pollock, and who we've got next coming in? Infer, and okay, Jaburnians, and little clutches coming in now. So you're starting to see the results populated on the table on your right. As I say, let's show the teams. Take Carradine from No Pins, and I think that is going to be quite good for them. And don't forget that even in the next batch, as we see Cyril Agnew coming in now, this is probably, it's going to be quite interesting between the Copa Hopers and No Pins, because the Copa Hopers have actually got some good results in there, haven't they? Now this will all be worked out later, and unfortunately I'm not going to have the team lineup for you anytime in this broadcast, which is a shame. We can speculate, but I think it's probably going to be as you were with no pins top and the Copa Hopas second. The reason I say this is no pins were at the top of the table with 2 points, and Copa Hopas had 4. I can't see Copa Hopas, even if they are the strongest team in this, which needs a bit of calculation. I don't think they're going to have more than 2 places, so they're probably, even if they do beat no pins in this one, they're only going to be 1 point ahead, which will mean the table at the top will look much the same. Russia Racing getting a fantastic fourth with Andrei Krajewski. We see where some of their other riders are, but they depend what their other riders accumulate. Now remember, it's calculated by the best 3 in the race. You add together their scores, and the team with the highest score, so you get 100 points for first, 90 for second, and so on and so forth. And remember, for example, that Saeed would have got 100 points, John Beams would have got 90, and 8 for William Toffoli. So, you know, there's already sort of gaps emerging between the places as we see James Ogilvie coming in for Scotland. Okay, rider. The OTR team. So OTR coming in. So reading up from the bottom up, Jan Decker, the Belgian, Daniel Schoch, Cyril Avro from France, Eric Hogan, Jonathan Stevens up to 16th, Jan Linden 15th, Matt Looker 14th, Joris Scheppers 13th, Joe Benyons 12th, Paul Enfer 11th, top 10, John Polak, well done John, Keith Hutchinson from OTR, Stephen Brearley from No Pins, Mathieu Dujon, Cyril Berton, Gavash, Andrei Krajewski in 4th, and the top 3 in the podium, as we've said, William Toffoli, John Beams, and today's winner, Saeed Keradine, put in a sterling performance once again. Let's just have a look at the times on there. Now you can see the gap here between John Beams and Saeed Keradine. Pulling out fully 9 seconds, Saeed pulled out in that last little section. But still, you know, quite a big gap to back to another 36 seconds back to William Toffoli. Andre just behind him, another 6 seconds. And then you start seeing the gaps grow. Really, I think you're starting to see it string out here if you look at the times. They go up gradually, don't they? So we're looking at 45.40 for 20th place for Jan Decker, the Belgian, which is, what, 1.5 minutes behind Saeed Keradine in first place. But if you look at it goes gradually down for there. He was only sort of 3 seconds behind Daniel Schoch, and it goes down sort of 3 seconds to the next one, you know, 15 seconds. It goes down very, very gradually, so that was very strung out. I think probably I can't see anywhere where there's a huge gap between the riders, anything more than sort of 10-15 seconds. But you can see here Kirsten Edge coming in, and he's coming in 31st place here. You know, it's solo, and he just strung everybody out on that hill. Fantastic course. So that's the 3rd time we've enjoyed it this year, haven't we? Stage 1 of the Tour de France, La Course ladies race, and now tonight in La Copa. This is great racing, it's great team racing, it's really exciting. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. We'll be back in a few minutes, so if you want to rush out and make yourself a drink, or you know, go to the conveniences, take a comfort break, or whatever you need to do, but don't switch off, because we're back with West London VR race 4.1. This is going to be an explosive start of Series 4 for West London VR. It's a really flat and fast course, and probably one of the fastest races we had in Series 3. I think we last used it, might have been Series 2. So stay tuned, and we'll see you very, very shortly. Welcome back. Welcome back indeed. West London VR race. This is race 4.1. It's the Runnymede Rumble. It's a dead flat course, elevation 19 metres, so maybe it's not quite dead flat. This is when I designed this one. In fact, we've used it before in West London VR races. It was one of the fastest ones we ever rode. I certainly got my fastest time that I've ever got an RGT in this race, and it was a mass peloton. And what happened was that some of the best riders, they didn't sort of break away into groups or anything like that, and it meant it was a bit of a lottery in the sprint finish. And I think this is going to make it really exciting, and you might see some of the top riders picked by people who don't usually expect to beat them because the effect of such a big bunch sprint. And I thought I'd put this in as race 1 because it would just throw the cat amongst the pigeons, if I can use that phrase, in the first race, and leave it quite open without the dominant riders all taking a big lead. That said, who would bet against Ned Bowen taking a very sly shoot off the front just over the line to win? He's the master of doing this. Doesn't win every time, but boy, he's good at it. And of course, you know, he's got something to prove. He was picked at the very last by Nick Greenhalgh in the in Series 3, and there's quite a few riders out there, I think, who are coming strong as well. I've just seen a fantastic ride by Andrei Krajewski, so there's plenty to go. You can see it comes out of Windsor here. It goes down Windsor Hill. That's the only bit of downhill we have. You can see the River Thames. We're going along the River Thames, and we cross it a few times. Now, there's this sharp bend coming up. We get to Staines there as we go over Staines Bridge. There's 2 sharp bends there that might break as we take round to Wraysbury in amongst all those lakes and reservoirs. That's where people in West London get all their water from, if you've ever wondered. And if you've ever flown out of Heathrow Airport westwards or flown in from the west, you look out your window, you'll see all that water underneath. So that's all our drinking water. You see the start there is up in Windsor. You can see the greyed out town there. The larger town on the right is Slough, and I suppose the where we turn at Staines. So the turn is at Staines, which these days is in Surrey, but used to be in Middlesex. So that's effectively the edge of London, and you can see if you look at the 2 reservoirs at the bottom. There's a motorway, auto route, highway, whatever you want to call it, that goes in between the 2 reservoirs at the bottom, the 2 big lakes there. That is the M25, which is the peripheral road around London, circles London. So although not technically inside London, there's a general feeling that if you're inside that motorway, below it on our picture, you're inside London. If you're on the other side, you're outside London. So it's very much on the right on the edge of West London. And in fact, as I say, you can see the River Thames flowing through there as it goes towards London. And Heathrow Airport would just be I suppose, if you carried on a little bit more down in the bottom left of your screen, you would see Heathrow Airport there. So that's where we are. It is going to be dead flat. We're going to get stock scenery, of course, and we have 88 riders on the line, and we're starting in 13 seconds. So get pedaling, everybody. Welcome along to Watford Velo, a great little club up there in Watford. I say little club, but you see their pelotons everywhere. 4 seconds to go. Get pedaling. You have to pedal hard in these. If you get dropped off at this stage, that's the end of your race. So 88 starters in West London VR 4.1, and already some little gaps. Mattias Bergqvist from Sweden, they're pushing off the front. This will probably not stay that strung out. This will group itself, and basically the battle over the first 500 metres or so is to get in to that front group. Now that's going down Windsor Hill. We're going down the edge of Windsor Castle, and you've got this little small slope off the castle down to the river, and from here on in it's going to be pretty flat apart from a little jump over Staines Bridge. So the interesting thing will be Kader Looney there pulling away, and with 369 watts. So you have to pedal hard. I mean, this is dead flat, and everybody's doing over 300 watts, and this is just to get yourself into that group. Johan Olafsey, thanks for the photo this morning. I'm glad the package arrived. Johan completed our 21 Dun Club award. So if you ride 21 of these races, we send you a badge. I sent one to Johan down there in New Zealand, and he sent me a little photograph of him holding it up this morning to prove that it arrived. So, as I say, this is not going to have any critical moments and climbs. I don't think any breakaways will get away, but we have got Kayda Hedenham, not Kayda, it's Kirsten Hedenham pulling away at the Casper's Hedenham. Sorry, I'll get that right. He's definitely entered in the big Danish race this Friday, so if you've got nothing to do on Friday, Johan chasing him down. These SANS guys, SANS stands for South Africa, New Zealand. Johan lives in New Zealand, but he's South African. There's a few of them. They like to attack. They're fantastic. They light up a race superbly. We are having a bit of an attack here. Chris Morgan from Southborough District Wheelers, one of our favourite clubs, Matthias Berg is following. And this is the problem, that if once you get a chain following like that, I think it's hard for anybody to break off the front, and I don't think it's going to happen. Chris Morgan chasing down Matthias Bergqvist, putting out 350 watts. It is hard work staying up with this, because it will be, it will be fast and furious to the finish. As I say, I'm not particularly great at this myself, but I managed to stay with the bunch all the way last time we did this, and I was absolutely heaving at the end. It was as tough as I'd ever experienced anything, and I was just sitting on the back trying to stay on. People will ride hard, and this group will undoubtedly have left some people behind. I'm not sure if we can see the profile at the bottom or not, but there will be people who didn't make this group, and those people will not get back on it. That's a confident prediction for me. I think Jonathan Crane in there. I haven't seen him for a while. Great to see you, Jonathan. And this man's a star. Have a look out for his podcasts and broadcasts on all sorts of media, including Twitch, I would imagine. Jonathan Crane is a Bible of e-racing from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, in the USA there. Now, I did say that Johan and his SANS guys do like to light up a race, and here he goes again. So we're only, 2.75 kilometres into basically a 16-kilometre race, and here he goes again. Does it every time. Absolutely brilliant. I really hope one day he's going to catch everybody out and they don't catch him. But the size of that peloton tells you that it's very, very hard work, and to hold on to this for another 13 kilometres would be exceptional. But Johan is an exceptional rider, so don't ever discount it. I can see Chris Morgan coming in, coming back again. So it's it's all closing it down. As I said, I think this is going to be a huge bunch sprint. I'm not sure how many are in this bunch, and I can't physically count them. Now we've got the profile at the bottom, and you can just see how flat that is. Hopefully we can get that up again just to see what the breaks are. So the big light bulb, the white light bulb, if you look in the bottom of your screen, the green line across the bottom is actually the profile, and you can see apart from that little drop out of Windsor, there is nothing to talk of in terms of profile. This is because we're going along a river valley, and if you look at the little white dots, they are riders, and the big white light bulb sort of thing that we're looking at is the rider that we're focused on, which is Johan at the moment, as you can see, and he's in the lead. Now the white dots behind that are how strung out the field is, and as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 groups that have got dropped from this. No, maybe 5 groups. I'd say 5, and maybe stringing out a bit more. So there's 5 groups who haven't got on this. We've got 87 riders still in the race. We started with 88, so somebody's dropped out or had a techanical. If you're new to this, a techanical is just the equivalent of a mechanical, but this is technical. Kayda Alumi on the front with Matt Feely. Matt Feely taking a turn on the front. Well done, Matt, from Ireland there, living out in Dublin. And Kayda from Poker Motion, of course. So there is a little bit of stringing out here. Matt putting out 350 watts there. Maybe, just maybe, I'm looking at that. Could that be a split? Could this group split into 2? It is possible, because what happens, as I said to you before, weaker riders like myself, we sit on the back and try to hold on to this draft. But if it just goes too fast, if you drop off at any point, you're finished. You'll never get back on it solo. And no, it's all come back together again. The thing is, if you do create a gap and nobody in the second group is going to pursue the front group, you will get this split into two groups. My prediction is this will not happen. I think this group will broadly stay together with one or two people dropping off the back. And that's what this sort of race will have. And like I say, it's deliberately by me because I want this one to be a bit of a lottery, so that the first standings, keep the race a little bit open and give everybody hope. So, Kirsten Hedderman going off on the front there. Denmark, as I say, it's a Denmark 1-2 at the moment. That's quite encouraging. As I say, I think I was saying earlier in the other race, there's a big race on Friday that the Union Cyclists Denmark are running through Cycling Club Denmark, and these guys ride with Cycling Club Denmark. If you see the team name, it's a little e then CKD, which is Cycling Club Denmark. They've got a big race on Friday evening. I don't know much about it. I'm commentating it on ZMS. It's around 7 o'clock UK time, so that will be about 8 o'clock in Europe. If I say 8 o'clock, that's 2000 hours in Europe. I don't know much about it, but I think it's part of a big festival, and it's being broadcast across Denmark on various platforms, or ZMS if you're not in Denmark. And looking forward to that one. I'm dying to see where it is. I've cycled in Denmark, so there's a little bit of interest. That's partly why I actually got an email about it from the Union Cyclist. Christophe Quentin down there from Clermont-Ferrand, congratulating Nick. Thank you, Christophe. Hope everything's fine down there in Volcano Land, and nice to hear from you. So we've got a little bit of we've got three riders going off the front. Chris Morgan from Southwood District Wheelers, and Kirsten Hednam and Mark Rowbottom from Ratio. But again, I think these are going to get closed down. The peloton that size, and your best hope really is, if you do this, to string the peloton out and lose individuals off the back rather than do a solo ride. There is a small gap there, but look at the size of the peloton behind it. But as I say, you can see at the very back there was somebody just dropping off. 2 or 3 riders been hit by this. So what you're doing is not necessarily breaking to get yourself away and get a solo win. What you're doing is attritionally dropping riders off the back. This is strung out quite a lot. We're doing 46 kph. As I said, this is a fast course. You can expect this. Yeah, Wirren Shen from Westerly there is one of the ones dropping off. Wirren lives just down the road from me. Nice to see you. And you can see this is it. Once you see that poor old Ferro just watching them drift away, suddenly you haven't got the benefit of the draft. The guys in front of you have, and you just watch it disappear up the road. What you hope for, and I hope that all these guys who are getting dropped off here will form themselves into Group 2. So somebody from Moon Riders now in, I'd say that it's Kato Lumi, Pokemotion. James Melville, Glasgow United. That's the first time we mentioned him. Finished 3rd in Series 3, and that's the second time he's had a 3rd place finish in one of our series. A stalwart of West London VR from get-go. And Chris Morgan out there in first place. Oh, this would be fantastic for Southborough if they could pull that off. But as I say, a bunch sprint is probably not going to. Francois Ike from Belgium. I always assume he's a Wallonian, but nice to see you, Francois. I don't know how many we lost in that little split, but you can see this is not tightly together, although it's not strung out either. I think they could probably lose a few more. We're coming up to halfway through the race, and as I say, that little surge did chuck some people off the back, and whether or not another one of those happens, we shall have to wait and see. Be interested to know how many are in this group, but you can see how big it is. So we've gone through the halfway stage. You can see the yellow banner there. And again, looking at the profile, if you look at the larger of the two screens, you've got the profile at the bottom, which is dead plan fat. It just looks like somebody's gone along the bottom with a green pen, doesn't it? Mr. Hart has gone off the front. Absolutely splendid. It's interesting to see what he's doing. Okay. Christoph, it's nice to hear from you, Christoph. Thanks very much for all these contributions. Shame you're not racing, actually. We'll miss you. We'll miss you. Man from Clermont-Ferrand down there in the middle of France, near the Massif Central in the Rhone Valley. So, okay, so this is shuffling a little bit. I think this is another one of these spurts. See if we lose any riders here. Let's see, and who else have we got in there? It's I'm just trying to see. Now you can see there's somebody just off the back there. Maybe two riders just off the back. I think one might get on, and if the other one, if you can drag the one right at the back on, then he's just made it. I think that might be a Westerly rider just getting back on there. Well done. But as I say, these spurts in the front, Kader Illumi this time with Johan Lufsey and Nick Greenhalgh chasing hard. Francois Iker and Kirsten Hednam now pushing up the front. Now, these are all big names. These are regular names you're seeing at the front, and I think the Carlos Seller I see there in 10th place as well, Spaniard. And as I say, these are regular names you see in these races, and they are top riders, and they're the ones forcing the race. And I think, again, looking down the field, I think there's another couple of riders might have just dropped off the back there. John Sammert from Staffordshire pushing out 600. Wow, John, that is a massive. So he's putting out, he's dropped down a bit now, he's 400. Well done, John, from up there in Staffordshire. And let's see, Kirsten Hednam, Johan not having any of that, he wants to chase back. Thing is, he might be the bridge for the peloton, which is now racing to catch Johan. So, mind you, if 6 could get away here, that might, I don't know, there's a line. There's a line forming. And that could just snap a few people off the bunch again. As I say, this is traditionally, if this small group could actually break into a group, I don't think it's quite going to do it. It looks as if it might at any one moment, but we're definitely losing riders off the back of the peloton. Look up there in the top right-hand corner towards the back. But, some of those riders are not going to get back on if they keep this pace up. John Sammert taking it. Yes, John Sammert is pushing the pace here. I mean, we're doing 43 kph, and you see how strung out it is at the back. This is where it hurts you. I mean, I've been through that 1,000 times. I say that 1,000 times, which is obviously an exaggeration, but it feels like 1,000 times, I should say. Yeah, we've lost riders off the back. So it thins the group. You won't get away, but it thins the group. And I'm delighted to see my mates Nick Lee and Gautam Thakkar still on the back of that. Kevin Unsworth and Wouter Claes all in that front group. Well done, Nick and Gautam. That's fantastic for you, Gautam. I'm really pleased for you, mate. Go for it. So we keep losing a few, but let's say a couple of the Westerly guys there in the purple jerseys at the back, just about hanging on, and I'm sure they'll be great results. Go on, Nick and Gautam. Chris Morgan now on the front for Southborough. Southborough, they're based down in Tunbridge Wells. A great club. We've got some fantastic personalities and riders down there in Kent. And obviously I'm jealous of the Kent Hills they've got to ride, but we'll just have to accept that I'm not moving down there, so I'll just have to stay jealous. Fantastic area to ride, actually. They've got some great hills. They don't quite command the notoriety of the Surrey Hills, but actually I think they're the better ones. But there we are. That's a personal taste thing. Nothing wrong with the Surrey Hills. They are very nice, but I think the Kent ones are just a little bit more gritty and challenging, shall we say. So back to the race. Yes, Ben, this will be a busy sprint. Thanks there, Ben Hammer-Phillips from Ratio Racing, the man who gave Ratio Racing its name. Ratio Racing is, Ratio is Welsh for racing, as Ben will tell you, and so it's racing in Welsh and English. Just like, it's like when you're in Wales, everything's written twice, isn't it, Ben? All right, so we have a little bit of a breakaway here. Hart is the rider off the front now, with Kirsten Hednam leading the pack. I don't think this is going to last again. Kayla Looney now leading the charge. I think people will be off and on the front here, and whether or not they can make that stick. 3.7 kilometres to go. I think you'd have to get at least half a kilometre. I think you'd have to be 500 metres to stand a chance, because as the race gets towards the finish, the peloton will no doubt charge it up a little bit, and I suspect that gap is closing already. I'm trying to guess how many riders are in this group. We've still got 86 in the race, and if you look at the bottom, it's quite strung out, so the very last rider is quite a way behind. But I'm just guessing that this might be, it's probably less than 50, but it's might be sort of 40, over between 40 and 50 riders, I would guess, in that group. So this is going to be one hell of a bunch sprint, as Ben Phillips pointed out. Tom Moss there for Southborough, just fighting to get on. If you get on, it's such a relief, and he's just done it. Thomas Nygren, the Swede, next one trying to fight. I think he's going to get on. He's an experienced RGT racer. He's just got on, I assume Tom's wheel. Unfortunately, Tom's just drifting, so he gets over, trying to get on the wheel of the other rider there to get on. I think this is looking a bit tricky for the two Toms here, Thomas Nygren and Tom Moss. Nope, they've got back on. Well, at least Thomas Nygren has. Tom Moss, I don't know if Tom's actually getting the benefit of that draft or not, because I'm not sure quite how it calculates it, but he's definitely, I think Tom's feeling it a little bit. 2.5 kilometres to go to the end, and I think Tom's gone, and he's in 50th place, so my estimation of the size of the peloton wasn't that far off, was it? Miles Askew for Moon Riders in 41st, Dobson 49, Thomas Nygren safely back in the pack, Kester Dobson, sorry I didn't know your name, John Sammett. So Kirsten Hednam, the Dane, is the latest one off the front. 2.1 kilometres to go. If nobody bothers, you never know, but I just don't think a big peloton like that is going to let him get away. He's got a gap of 27 metres, and I don't think that's enough, but never write him off. He's a great rider. It's down to 17 metres gap now, so it's not going to hold. It's hard chasing him. Although the two of them working together, you never know. I still don't think 1.6 kilometres to go. I don't think they're going to do it. I've seen it done, but I don't think they will on this course, because I just think the peloton's so big that the power that it can muster to catch everybody up is just going to be too great. Francois Ike on the front there, Mark Rowbottom from Ratio leading the chase back. I think the game's up as Mr. Hart looks backwards to see what's behind him, and he'll see that 20 metres behind him with 1.3 kilometres to go, he sees the mighty peloton. Another 48 riders chasing down on him. He's going to have to work very, very hard. And as I say, I think as we get into the last 500k. Now we're going under the Flamme Rouge here, so 1 kilometre to go. Can he maintain it? I don't know. I don't know. It's gone up to 29 metres, and Hednam now is not having any of that. And if he moves, I think some of the others are going to move, and that's what will, I think, give Mr. Hart the difficulty, because they're not going to let both of them go. And you can see Francois Ike is now ramping it up, and he's going for it. I think he's going to go for it. I think this is a couple of three moon riders going off in the front. Wouter Clay's in the lead, and Scratch and Francois. Could this be a 1, 2, 3? This is a fantastic race. 500 metres to go. It takes a lot to hold this, but Wouter Clays is an experienced rider at this level and could do it. And anyway, he's got a teammate behind him, Belgium and a German. This 250 metres to go. That's not a bad break. Is that James Melville coming up? in the red and white kit there, recognise that. And Southborough putting in a bit of Chris Morgan coming for it now. Jan Dekker's up here. Bouterklees has done it. Belgium take it. Moon Riders. And look at that, Southborough. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, look at that. I didn't quite catch the rest of the order. I saw one of the Southborough riders. I'm assuming it's probably Chris Morgan. Oh no, it's John Curry and Ned Bowen in third place. Miles Askey fourth. Jan Dekker fifth. James Melville sixth. Chris Morgan for Southborough in seventh. Stone in eighth. The British rider. Scotch for Moon Riders, the German. Carlos Seller in 10th and John Sammet in 11th. Now, this is fantastic. I mean, I have to say, first I'm going to take my hat off to Southborough Wheelers getting 2 in the top 10. That is a fantastic start. That would be interesting to see. I'm not sure if they're in the same Southborough team or not. You see the results here. So James Curry, James Curry, he's Southborough as well. Sorry, I just realised. So that is, so what we've got, 1, 2, well, I'll have to work this out. I do publish all the team results. There is a team competition in this, in case you didn't realise. There's a general classification, and it will look exactly like it does just there. So the general classification will be just as it is there, because this is the first race. There's also a best of 6 classification. So at the end of the series, you take your best 6 results. There's also a team competition. Andrew Beale in 18th, fantastic, well done Andrew. And Andrew, another friend of mine locally, that's a great finish. Nick Greenhalgh at 12th, another local rider for me in there. So running down, Bouterklees from Belgium, James Curry for Southborough, Ned Bowen for the USA, he's not actually in a team. So James Curry's in the B's team for Southborough, and they have more than one team, so I can't remember if the 2 Southborough riders are in the same team or not. If they are, then their team will be very well placed. Jan Dekker for Ratio Racing in 5th place, and Jan Dekker back to his best, I think. I was quite surprised he finished a bit lower down last time. Julian Fussell, we've got another bunch coming in here now. This is the next batch, so it's looking like we might have, with 800 metres to go, another sprint finish to watch here. I don't know if we can focus on that and then come back to the finishing places. Yeah, let's have a look at that. So Mosse, I'll see a couple of. Let's have a look who's in there. Simon Miller for Southborough. Yeah, Martin Wilson. Yeah, it's regular faces in there. So we've got 2 off the front of this. Now we're coming in for what, 67th position. We've still got 24 riders online. That doesn't really tell you the whole story, because some people might have taken themselves offline. So let's have a look at this one. So this is the beauty of these sorts of races. You do actually get second pelotons, and you can have races with your peers. And they're designed this way. We don't grade the races. You don't have to be of a certain standard. Everybody can join in. And obviously, if you're not one of the fastest guys, you'll end up in one of these groups having your own personal race in what I would describe as natural selection, because you end up with people who are similar to you. And you can have your own little personal race, knowing that the people around you are of your standard and they're not higher standards. So we didn't quite catch the front because we're at the back with C. Lees, but that strung out, and that was a proper sprint finish. You can see what happened there. The guys at the front went for it. 70th, Tim Cummings, well done Tim, another local guy for me. So we go back to the scores. So like I say, you get these secondary races. Christophe Quentin, no doubt, delighted with some of his teammates' results there. So going down to the top again, Bouterklees, the Belgian, with an impressive win there. Ned Bowen, runner-up in Series 3, winner of Series 2, doing what he does best, getting across the line fast in a sprint finish. James Curry putting in a fantastic performance for Southborough to nick it away from Ned in 2nd place. Miles Askew for Moon Riders, Jan Dekker, Ratio Racing, again, James Melville for Glasgow United, Chris Morgan, Southborough. I'm not sure which Southborough team Chris is in. Will Stone, Daniel Schlott, the German, Carlos Seller, another stalwart regular for us, finishing in a credible 10th. We'll never ever forget Carlos Seller's Ruislip finish in Series 3. John Sammet from up there in Staffordshire, and reigning champion Nick Greenhalgh in 12th. And this is the point I was making, that we've got the reigning champion finished 12th, because a sprint finish like that can be a bit of a lottery and it shakes up the standings. So already Nick finding himself in 12th, and he's going to have to go a bit. Kader Lumi from Poker Motion, Jan Linden coming 13th, 14th. Jonathan Crane, he is an absolute legend, and it's great to have Jonathan back. He's probably streamed this himself if you want to watch it, and he's a great character. So look out for his YouTube channel from Birmingham, Alabama. Thanks for taking time out in your lunch break, I assume, Jonathan, to ride with us again. It's great to have you back. Brian Vince, Mark Rowbottom from Ratio Racing in 17th. Andrew Beale from Westerly getting a fantastic result. Well done, Andrew, in 18th. Jared Miller and Matthias Bergqvist from Sweden rounding out the top 20. So Christophe Quentin from down there in Clermont-Ferrand in France, congratulating Walter Claes, and I think he deserves those congratulations, absolutely. So this is series 4. This is only race 1. What happens is the winner gets 100 points in this, the second place gets 99 points, third place 98 points, and so on and so forth, and we just add the points together as the series goes on. As I say, the overall will look exactly like it is there because it's race 1. We have 13 races. They're not all flat like this, although these races are for fast sprint riders. In most of them, we do put a few little lumps in where you can attack, but like I say, I deliberately put this dead flat one in just to shake it up a little bit in race 1 and keep it open. And Nick Granhouse all the way down in 12th probably justifies my decision. He's probably bitter at me. And will probably complain, and I'll expect a WhatsApp message along those lines any time now. But fantastic to see everybody. As I say, there's 12 more of these races to come. We go right through to March. They're every other Wednesday. I organise them. I can't ride in them when I'm commentating, but I'll be riding in the next one. And hopefully after that, they will all be here live on ZMS, where you can keep up to date with the series. Still got some riders coming in, as you can see. This is open to all. The reason you get a big turnout for these races is partly because it's not totally about the racing. Some people just come along to see how long they could. I just got a WhatsApp from Nick Greenhalgh, which was none too complimentary. I'm gonna have to buy him a beer now, aren't I? Cheers, Nick. Anyway, I think he sent me some other stuff as well. He's probably got a photo or something like that. Yeah, I won't read out what he's written about me, but yeah, it's right on cue. Thanks, Nick. Anyway, as I say, keep up to date with these because, as I say, there's riders still coming in. What we do, everybody scores points, so wherever you finish, you'll get some points. They are for everybody, and like I say, there's a self-selection. So what will happen is you'll end up with riders of your own standard, and you have your own private races further back. And believe me, they are really good fun, whether you're on the front or not. As I say, this particular race was designed so that a lot of people who wouldn't normally finish in the front group can and shake it up. And I'm delighted for 18th place Andrew Beale, who's managed to hold on and then put something in at the sprint. So great result, Andrew. Delighted for you. Chapeau, mate. Well, that's about it. I think we're probably about ready to wrap it up as it's coming up to 8 o'clock. Thanks very much for being with ZMS. Remember, you can watch this at any time you like by clicking the link because it's there all the time. Rewatch it and enjoy the fun. See you next time.